welcome to FunNGun. We got a really impressive new offering from Cyelee Optics for you on the table today. But before I get into that, I want to say up front right here that no firearms in this video are for sale. None of the links in this video, none of the codes in this video have anything to do with firearm sales whatsoever. They are for Cyelee products only, so YouTube, go ahead and chill out on that. Also, I want to say a big thanks to Cyelee Optics for sending me out this cat EDG, and not just one, but actually 2 cat EDGs for this video, because we are going to torture test one of them in this video. And spoiler alert, I've already done the testing, and it was very impressive. I also want to say a big thanks to Cyelee Optics for bringing me on as an affiliate of their brand. If you're looking to pick up this cat EDG or any of their other products, you can use the link in the description below to open up the website. Then use code FunNGun at checkout to get 10% off nearly everything on their website. And that's also going to help out the channel a little bit. And that's also going to bring the cat EDG down to roughly $252 before shipping and tax. So after you see the testing on this, I feel like that's a really good deal for this particular dot. So what we're going to do first here is we're going to go over the packaging a little bit, kind of some of the information on this dot. We'll go over some of the features. We'll compare it to some of the other Cyelee offerings. We'll get into the testing. After the testing, we'll come back and we'll go over the results from the testing. So let's go ahead and talk about the packaging here a little bit and some of the information here. As you can see, it says it is drop proof from 6 foot on a 35-ounce gun on the concrete. We did test that, and we tested it quite a bit, as you will see here later in the video. And it is also fully submergible. This is IPX7 waterproof. We tested that as well. It is also sealed off, and this is a sealed dot, so it has 2 panels of glass on the front and back to keep trash out of it. We also tested that in the water testing as well. And you'll just see the testing. We did a lot of testing with this little dot. And what else we got here? We've got, this is an RMSC footprinted dot. It has 8-day settings, 2 night vision settings, has motion detect, so after 5 minutes it will shut off, so you can leave this as your bedside gun setup, and it's not going to run the battery dead. You have a 50,000 hour battery life, and it is 1 MOA adjustable, and this also has a 3 MOA dot in it, and it is a dot only. So that kind of goes over most of the main stuff on the outside here. I guess we'll cover one more thing here that's important, is the window size. This is a 0.95 by 0.66. This is a larger window RMSC footprint. This gets you roughly into the size of a regular like RMR style footprinted red dot, but on a RMSC footprint. So we'll get into that when we get into comparing it to some of the other offerings from Cyelee in a minute. So let's go ahead and pop this open and show you what you get here. I'll set the box off to the side here. You are going to get a Cyelee patch, and I'm not going to be able to put that one on the wall like I usually do because my patch wallet is currently full. I'm going to have to pick up another one of those. You're going to get your little card right here that is going to go over the zeroing recommendations. And I do appreciate them sending this little card because it takes the guesswork out of where you need to zero, and it just goes ahead and tells you to put it at 25. Because at 5 yards, you're going to be dead on at 5, high at 10, high at 25. 10 yards, you're going to be low at 5, dead on at 10, high at 25. And then 25 yards, you're going to be dead on with all of them. And if you need more information, you can also use the links on the back here to find a little bit more information about that particular thing right there of sighting it in as well. And then they always give you the little card here that tells you how to use the turrets correctly, so you're not wasting ammo and time trying to figure out which way to move the turrets to make the dot go the way you need it to go to sight it in properly. So that's also a nice card that they go ahead and throw in there that I appreciate. And then you're going to get the owner's manual here that's going to tell you how to go through different settings and do different things with your particular dot there, and just all the information in general. You're going to get a lens cleaning cloth, and as always, you get just an absolute ton of screws with Cyelee products, and I really like the way they do their screws. I don't have any of them laying here, I don't believe, to show you, but they have a little stud on the top of them so it fills up the entire hole on the sight, so it's not going to be moving around on the screws. You get a Cyelee sticker, and you're also going to get an adjustment tool and a mounting tool right here, and this actually has a flat head mounted onto it. And as I mentioned in other videos on the Cyelee products, I really like this tool right here because the way it's set up, it gets your hand real close to the end of there where the flat head's at, so you can feel the clicks nicely. So I do really like using the Cyelee tool when I'm sighting one of these in. So I'm going to go ahead and move that off the side. We're going to go ahead and bring the cat here into the shot here. And this looks very similar to another product that Cyelee released here not too long ago that I have a video on as well that I'll try to link after this one. Is going to be this is the Wolf EDG. Now this is an RMR footprinted dot, and as you can see there, they are very similar, but the cat EDG obviously is quite a bit smaller because it has to fit the RMR or RMSC footprint. And I did notice there's a few differences in the way the top of them are, I guess they're cast or milled, however you want to, I don't know exactly how they make these, but it is a little bit different, but they are the same idea where it has these little edges where it disperses the shock when you drop this or hit it on something, which that is something, like I said, we tested later in the video, and it held up very well. Window size, you're going to have the exact same size window. Both of them are 3 MOA dots. So if you have your Wolf EDG on a larger gun, you can put the Cat EDG on your smaller gun. And when you pick both guns, you're going to have the same sight picture from both of them. So that's a pretty cool feature as well. And then the front's going to be slightly different here. You're going to have a little bit of overhang on the RMR one here, being the Wolf. And the Cat right here is just kind of flush with the front. And that is because, well, it has to be a little bit smaller to fit the RMSC footprint. So that is kind of a comparison of the two right there. This is the smaller brother to the Wolf. And then we'll bring in the standard Cat X Pro here and give you a little bit of an idea. Now, the Cat X Pro is going to be a little bit smaller in general, just based off of the fact that this is a little bit beefier and has a larger window. But the Cat itself here, the X Pro, has quite a large window itself, and it does have the multi-reticle in it, so you can have the dot circle, or you can have the dot, the 2 MOA dot, the 2 MOA dot with, I believe it was a 24 MOA circle, or just the 24 MOA circle. It might be a 26 MOA. I'm not 100% sure. Don't hold me to that. And another cool thing about this is right here, not only does it protect your rear turn kind of adjustment right there, but you do have 2 little nubs right there, and those are there as kind of a backup sight. So it allows you, if you don't have full co-witness or you lose your rear sight when you put this on, depending on what gun you use it on, it's going to have something you can use as a rear sight, so that's pretty cool as well. This is also side battery loaded, which is, I mean, that's the way to do it right there, because you don't ever have to take this back off. Once you got it sighted in, you can just pull that out right there, change the battery, click it back in, and you're good to go. So overall, really nice dot. Has nice clicks on the buttons right here. Like I said a second ago, you got plenty of brightness settings. It is good for your bedside gun because you have the shake awake, and just overall, this is a really nice dot. And as you're about to see here in the testing, it is an extremely durable dot as well. So let's go ahead and head off to the testing now, because I'm really looking forward to you seeing how durable this little dot actually is. So let's do that now. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start the testing off here with the waterproof testing. Now, this little dot is rated at IPX7, which is 1 meter of water for 30 minutes, which is roughly 3¼ feet deep. Now, I don't have anything quite that deep, so we're going to go ahead and sub this dirty little pond that come behind my house when we moved in for that, and it's roughly 2 foot deep. So we're going to go ahead and leave it in there for an hour instead of 30 minutes, just to go ahead and make sure it is good and tested. So what we're going to do now is go ahead and throw this in there, push it down to the bottom, and come back in an hour and see if it survived. And before I do that, I'm just going to go ahead and power it on for good measure. So let's go ahead and throw it in here. Use a stick to make sure it is all the way down at the bottom there. And I'm going to go ahead and start a timer here. And I'll show you on the camera the timer there. And you can see it is 4:56, so I'm not going to be cheating. So let's go ahead and let this soak for an hour, and we'll come back and see how it fared. Okay, I apologize for the background noise here, but when you're working with a time limit specifically here, I can't really do nothing about that. So that is exactly 1 hour. So let's go ahead and pull this up out of the water and see what kind of results we had here. So let's go ahead, and as you can see there, it's just absolutely covered in stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring this over there to the camera shot where you can see what it looks like here. And I can already tell you just by looking that it is still on. As you can see, the glare from the dot where it is wet inside there, it is still active. Let me see if I can get you a better shot of that. Yep, right there is the dot. So even covered in mud and nice and wet, sitting there for an hour, still works just fine. So let's go ahead and try a different test with this now. Okay, as you can see there, the glass is still a little muddy from the water test, but it is still powered on. What we're going to go ahead and do now is put it in the freezer for an hour as an extreme temperature test. I'm going to go ahead and show you right here what the current temperature of the dot is. As you can see there, it is around 70 degrees. So I'm going to go ahead and start another timer right here. As you can see, it is 6:09. So I'm going to start a 1 hour timer there. And I'm going to go ahead and sit that in the freezer there and close it up there. And we'll come back in an hour and see if it's still on. Okay, as you can see there, the timer for the 1 hour mark is about to run up. So we're going to go ahead and open the refrigerator right now and check this thing out. And as you can see there, it is definitely nice and cold. Cannot see through it whatsoever hardly there. As you can see, it is still on. So let's go ahead and check what the temperature on it is now. If you remember, it was around 75, or I think before. Let me get that in the shot. It's kind of hard to, let's see here. Look at it so I can make sure. So we are down to 44 degrees. So this thing right here is extremely cold. Kind of hard to hang on to, not gonna lie. Actually, now that I get the laser on it, let's see. Like I said, kind of hard to get this in the camera. There we go. It's actually colder than I thought. It is actually 24 degrees after being in there for an hour. So extremely cold. Like I said, you can still see that it is on there. It's kind of hard to see because the glass is frosted over. Let me see if that wipes off there. It's actually got ice over the glass. That's pretty cool. Still kind of blurry there just because it is frosted. But either way, as you can see there, it held up to the sub temperatures there just fine, and all the buttons and everything still operate. So let's go ahead and move on to the next test now. Okay, the next test we're going to do here is the retention of 0 after abuse test. And I went ahead and mounted the Cat EDG on my Ruger RXM here for this particular test. The way I'm going to do this test is, as you can see here, I have a piece of wood on the table and 5 magazines loaded with 2 rounds each. The first mag is going to be the control test to show you that the gun is properly sighted in. I'm going to go ahead and drop that mag, rack the gun off the piece of wood here multiple times, then go ahead and load the second mag, shoot it to confirm that it's still zeroed in, and then we'll rinse and repeat till we're out of magazines. And I'm going to go ahead and say that some of these misses are because there is a nut behind the gun as well. So as a testament to how well this gun, or this sight, actually held up to this test, the entire intro of this video was filmed with this gun and this sight without adjusting it at all after doing this full test with it. So that's just a little bit more for you there. So let's go ahead and start the test off here with the first 2 rounds. And that flashing target is at roughly 30 yards there. So let's go ahead and just abuse this dot on the piece of wood here. And go ahead and load 2 more rounds up here. And we are taking chunks out of the piece of wood there. It tells you how hard I am hitting it on the piece of wood. And as you can see there, the dot took the abuse just fine and retained at 0. So let's go ahead and head off to the next test, which is going to be the most brutal test for this little dot now. Okay, the next test we're going to be doing here is the multiple level drop test. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to be dropping any guns on this channel. So as you can see, the Cat EDG is now mounted to my Dot Tester 9000. That's what I'm going to go ahead and deem this right here. And this dot is rated for a 6-foot drop onto concrete with a 35-ounce gun. So we have concrete. This is a concrete block. This is a 35-ounce weight. And the hole right there at the top is 6 foot. The one in the middle is 4 foot. And the one right there with the pin through it is going to be the 2-foot area. So we're going to be able to drop this from multiple different heights by going ahead and pulling the weight up with this string right here, putting the pin through it, and then pulling the pin out and letting it drop. So let's go ahead and get the camera all set up here and we'll start the drop test. Okay, got our camera set up here. We got one pointing right at the bottom of the tester so you can see exactly what's going on there. And the only thing we did change from the previous clip there is it's no longer held on by Velcro. It's now held on with 100-mile-an-hour tape, better known as duct tape, because the Velcro wasn't going to hold up. So let's go ahead and drop it from 2 foot here, and then we'll move up to 4 and then 6 foot. Okay, that is 2 foot there. The dot looks relatively okay. The glass is still in one piece. I'm going to go ahead and pull it up here. Put the pin in at the 4 foot mark here. Bring it back down, rest it on it. Got to go ahead and set the string and the nut back at the top right there. And we're going to go ahead and drop it from 4 foot now. And that was 4 foot, and it sounded pretty brutal there, but as you can see there, the glass is perfectly fine. So let's go ahead and bring this up to 6 foot here. And this is going to max out the tester here. And this is actually what the dot is rated for, as I mentioned there a second ago. So go ahead and put the string back on the top here. And let's go ahead and drop this from 6 foot now. Okay, that was 6 foot right there, and as you can see there, the glass is still perfectly fine. And just for good measure, I'm going to go ahead and pull it back up to 6 foot there. I'm going to throw the string back at the top, and I'm just going to release it there. That is another at 6 foot. And just for fun, let's drop it a third time at 6 foot. So we got it at the 6 foot mark. Make sure it is back in the middle of the shot there, and I'm going to drop it again. And what the heck, let's drop it a few more times here. Okay, as you can see there, we have dropped it from 6 foot, 4 foot, 2 foot, and multiple different other heights. So, okay, we got the sight pulled off of the drop tester there, and as you can see, it is still functioning just fine. The glass looks just fine. The only thing we did there is get a little bit of scratches on the finish there, but other than that, this dot held up really well. So let's head back into the table now and talk about this a little bit more. Okay, as you can see there, I went ahead and put the Cat EDG back on my Ruger RXM for a few reasons here. Number one, it's going to live on this gun for quite a while. Number two, I was honestly just curious to see if I just slapped it back on there without doing anything, would it still be sighted in? And then I guess I was also curious if I just slapped it back on there after doing all that testing with it and beating on it, would it still be sighted in? And I went ahead and took a clip of me shooting it right after putting it back on there, and I'll go ahead and insert that right here. Okay, as you can see right here, this is the dot after the test, and it is all nice and scratched up on the top. And we're going to go ahead and see how well it functions still here. And the funny part about that is I just put the dot back on there, didn't sight it in at all, and even after being beat up like that, it is still sighted in. So let's head back into the table and talk about this a little bit more. So in my opinion, that is really impressive. The fact is that I did all the drop testing with this sight, took it on and off of the gun, and I put it back on there, and I was able to still hit targets with it just fine, and I was able to hit the 30-yard target with the flasher on it as well. Now, that's not going to say, I'm not going to put it back on paper just to verify it's zero, especially if I choose to carry this gun with that dot on there. I want to make sure it is 100% zeroed. But the fact is I was able to hit that target and some of these smaller targets on my range with it after just putting it right back on there. So that tells me that it should be pretty darn sighted in. That's pretty cool in my opinion. So let's go ahead and go over the results of the test and just what kind of damage we sustained from the drop testing there. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and show you that this Ruger RXM is unloaded. There is nothing in the chamber there, nothing in the magazine. Gun is safe. And really, there's not a whole lot of damage to talk about here. I mean, you got some scratches right here on the top of the sight right here and a few scratches down the side of it right here from me beating it on the table and also from me testing it with Velcro and it popping off and getting slammed at different angles. So it skinned it up a little bit, but overall, there is really no deformation of anything on this particular sight. None of the metal's crushed in or anything. The glass is in perfect shape. It is crystal clear still. The dot is still currently on right now. And like I said, the fact that it's still sighted in is pretty crazy to me. So overall, this sight is extremely durable. So if you put this on a gun, you're going to carry it. You're not going to have any issues because the odds of you dropping it off of 6 foot anything while you're carrying the gun is basically slim to none. And the odds of you, I guess, throwing it in a freezer or freezing temperatures for that hour period is probably pretty low as well. Now, I'm not going to say you might not fall in some water, but the odds of you sitting there in the water for an hour at 3 foot with the gun, pretty slim as well. So overall, you take this gun, put it on your EDC gun, you beat on it, you get out in the rain with it, you're going to be fine. If you didn't notice, that scene of me checking the gun to see if it was still zeroed after putting it back on there was actually filmed in the rain, and it was real muddy out there, and that's just because when I had a chance to put this back on there after doing all the testing, I went back in there and it was raining. I figured, heck, it's not going to hurt the dot, shouldn't hurt the gun either. So let's go ahead and go out there and test it in the rain. And as expected, it performed just absolutely flawlessly. And that was a lot of fun to do that testing, I'm not going to lie. So I feel like if you pick one of these Cat EDGs up and put it on your carry gun, get it sighted in properly, with just the testing I did there, I don't think you're going to have any issues with it. You pick one of these up, you should be able to trust it, and you're going to like it quite a bit. And that's all I had for you today. Okay, if you made it this far, I just want to say thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. If you're looking for more FunNGun right now, you can click one of the 2 recommended videos there. If you're looking for more FunNGun later, you can go ahead and click that there subscribe button. I sure would appreciate it. And if you're finding me from Facebook, go ahead and click that open app button at the top to make all that a lot easier, and I'll see you next time.